Then you say, I like that page, I need this page for my report. It's a free service. It makes a snapshot of that page, and you can refer to that, and it will never disappear as much as there exists a thing like never. But let's go back. It was just accidental. What we want to talk about now, going back. Oh, okay. There is a nice assistant that is wonderful. So for Muniraja Dula, and that is awesome. I'm not sure how it runs, but going back here, so what we're going to talk about today is an announcement from OpenAI that they have more custom models, but that honestly, okay, hi Lawrence from Houston, that honestly, I haven't studied deeply, so I offer to do it together. The next thing we will talk about Amazon models, and that's everything here is very raw because I guess such an amount of interesting information every week, something happens, and I bring it to you guys. And what is that? Okay, and I bring it to you, and we talk about this. So anything can break because it's a very raw thing. Then I also show my own practical work, what I do and what works and what doesn't. And that I think is the value of that particular webinar, that we're essentially friends talking to friends about what exactly you're working on. So with that, on the text, you can give us your comments here. If I say hi, that hi should go to everyone. And then also you should be able to post and talk to everyone. That's where we are right now. Okay, let's start. So the only thing is maybe I change the order because everything else is more or less worked out. So let's do this. Oh, what did it do here? Let us take that and move it somewhere to the bottom because I'm more certain about the previous items and not about this one. Okay, so it goes right here. Now, another thing is that my computer burned out, but I was lucky in the sense that I put the operating system on one drive, all the work on the other drive. So it all survived, more or less. But I got the chance to install the latest Ubuntu. I jumped up 2 versions, which naturally lazy to say yes to upgrade. But now I had no choice. The result is that some things may not work because I haven't installed that program yet. With that apology, let's start. So the first thing that I want to talk about Amazon models. Now, everybody jumps into the AI fray. And you know about Microsoft offer for AI startups, and that's a lot of credits, and it seems to be the best offer. It's pretty easy to get $25,000 in credits. It seems like Microsoft has a lot of money to throw at growing its startup and client base, and that works. When they have lots of money, that works. What can I say? So you get 25,000 if you spend this, and that's almost the only requirement. Once you spend them, then you get 5 times more. That is Microsoft, and therefore they force everybody else to do the same thing, but they don't because their management doesn't let them. And that's because now I'm guessing, but because they don't have that much money to throw around. Right. So Amazon has it. Not all that's required. They its manager. I had a meeting with them, and that's what I wanted to talk about. So first of all, they have the Sage Manager and the Bedrock. What is the difference at all? Secondly, what kind of funding do they offer startups? So I got the idea. Sage Manager, Sagemaker. Sagemaker is an old product, 10 years old, about that. So it is, at least maybe a year ago, it was just a collection of virtual machines and a collection of notebooks, Python notebooks. So if you are a data scientist, you'll come there, they have lots of examples. I'm not showing that because, again, I haven't logged in, I'm not sure what will happen. But SageMaker is a studio, and that studio can be run some kind of IDE. They have a Cloud9 IDE that's connected to SageMaker, but SageMaker is a bunch of machines that are configured to run machine learning, and you do everything yourself. So, for example, one good example, if you want to run a local llama, a local machine model, then you just configure it. You get for yourself a virtual machine with GPU. Ideally, I didn't succeed in GPU. I'll show you why. And then you just run it. That's what the SageMaker is. Now, Bedrock is a new name. Bedrock is a way for you to run machine learning models. So what's the difference? SageMaker is machine learning models and Bedrock is machine learning models. Bedrock gives you access to multiple models. For example, they actively promote Anthropic, and it gives you access to Anthropic models that are running in the same Amazon cloud and that are already there. You don't have, with SageMaker, it's all up to you. Of course, you can call any model out of a SageMaker, but it's already configured and it's nice and easy. I don't exactly know how, but I will know by next week probably. How Bedrock exactly works. One of the things that it does is, listen to this, please. It makes a copy of the model, puts it on a virtual machine, and after that, you ask questions to the model. The model is not sending any data to its maker, but instead just answers. Well, I have essentially done that, and I will show you. It will be one of the demos here. But if I do it like this, running Llama locally, then I have to run this virtual machine, maybe at all times, that costs, and also to install it locally. So no support, right? But if you use Bedrock, you run it within the VPC and you run it on how do we call it, serverless. You run it serverless. So that's better price, better architecture, and you have a chance to deploy it locally so that if you're concerned, like I'm concerned, that I'm in the government cloud and I don't want it to go anywhere, those documents anywhere, but being on the local machine, well, with Bedrock, I can achieve a little bit higher goal. I can send it to a local network within my VPC, deploying this model on another place, but still with the guarantee that it doesn't go anywhere. Well, that sounds too good to be true, and I will have to work it out, even actually try it when I do a production run. In my case, here's the model that I will show you, and it takes 4 minutes on the CPU to come up with an answer. Well, 4 minutes is okay as a proof of concept, but they tell me I'll have to process 10,000 forms per year, and 10,000 forms per year. I think 4 minutes is too long. I think it will not finish processing the previous ones. So it will make sense to run maybe Llama or maybe some other model, but out of Bedrock. Okay, so anytime that you want to ask a question, I think the best way is to interrupt and ask, but I had to wrap my head around that, and I think I did. So SageMaker is a SageMaker studio where you use essentially your models. Bedrock is where you use other people's models, but with a lot of privacy guarantees. All right, that's covered. The next thing that I want to talk about is once you start playing with Llama, you read the little letters there, and it says Llama only works with English. And I don't think they have even any plans to work with other languages. At least from the language, it seems no. So last time when we talked about this, a question came up. Maybe you asked it, and maybe I, because when you say it's only work with English, naturally you want to ask, well, and who works with other languages? That's what I researched a little bit, and the answer is, first of all, yes, there are more models that work with other languages. That is a list here, okay? So let's go to the first, Aya. Aya comes not from anywhere, but from a specific company. And who is the specific company? Cohere. So Cohere is the company that makes it. It says that they are non-profit AI research lab. Well, it did it by itself. I didn't do anything. No thanks for now. So Cohere, maybe Cohere for AI is a non-profit branch, but it seems like Cohere itself is for profit, and they released a multilingual LLM, and that's local and open source, and it is called Aya. So when you need to play, I know many languages, that is where you can find it. I think that's good enough. I gave you the link. You can say, of course, everybody says we outperform GPT-4. We'll leave it at there. So they are sold to give an account to the creator if they like. All right, but that was Aya. But there is more. Bloom. Now, Bloom is a model that is hosted and heavily promoted by Hugging Face. So if we go here, we will see only the article, the paper 22. But the last I was at the Hugging Face, it was mostly about Bloom. So Bloom has multiple languages. I don't know what's the quality of Bloom today because the last time it was a year or two ago, but probably comparable because of course everybody has to compare themselves to ChatGPT. And then they also mentioned that there are multiple specific language models. I just copied that, honestly, just so that there is an Arabic and English and African languages. Well, that tells you the whole story. If you step back and look at it, that means that people love languages, they actively develop for multiple languages, and there will always be a specific use case where you need specific languages that are perhaps not even covered by the major model. That is as far as the multilingual model. So if you build on Llama, I think that's still a good start because Llama being from Facebook, of course, is very well supported. And I was able to even run through the instruction and make it work, which I will show you, which is great. And then you have multiple languages. So the fact that Llama only speaks English will not stop you because, okay, I need other languages, there will be more models. That is covered with the answer yes. And now OpenAI, which initially I tried to avoid, it releases more. What do they release? They make improvements to fine-tuning API. What are the improvements? Okay. First of all, they say that we already did it a while ago. Can I increase the Microsoft volume a little? Yes. I I think it is here. Let me try. Yes. Okay. So now I go there. Does it sound better? Oh, no. That is for me, my output. How about this? This is what you hear. microphone volume. All right, we're good, right? Thank you very much, Lawrence, and thank you very much, Chaim. Okay, here we are. We'll keep it at that, maybe just a bit more. Okay, thank you. So the new features, first of all, we need to read that and discover that, well, in fact, they gave access to fine-tuning API, and it was a while ago, and then you had access to GPT-3, 3.5. Now they say we give you more. One thing that I was looking for is so exactly how you give documents. They call it fine-tuning, and I say they hijacked the term. It's not really fine-tuning because they don't get access to the model itself. And here, as a result, you see you were able to improve cost and latency. That's because you give them a bunch of questions that you prepare and you don't have to send them back and forth every time. That's not real fine-tuning and improves the number of tokens, 80%. Well, in the latest models, they have improved the number of tokens a lot. They started with 4,000, which is, by the way, still the limit for Llama, but the latest that they gave was 128,000. So number of tokens is not an issue at all. So they introduced the new features, and these features are here. Okay, so we are able to configure available hyperparameter from the dashboard. But these are hyperparameters that are, again, like the temperature, and that are generic. So I still don't see that you can load thousands of documents. The red architecture is still there. And in fact, in reading about what they say, I noticed that they also accepted that term. OpenAI accepted that there is nothing better. If you need to give your documents, you still store them in the vector database, which is by now old technology, and ask your questions using that. And after you have searched this vector database for meaning, not for keywords, you give that as an additional bunch of background information, and that, I'm sorry to say, is old architecture because you're mixing something that's 10 years old to something that is 1 year old. Nevertheless, to make sure, we can go here, the new features, and look at, you create a fine-tuned model. Now that model will be yours. That is good. You're starting from a specific model, and they have not updated that for the new models. So I'm not sure if they will work. And then you open and do some fine-tuning. So what exactly you do? 10 jobs in parallel, probably. Retrieve the state of a fine-tune. You get snapshots that you improve. You get better and better snapshots and store it on the OpenAI servers. And then you can manipulate this fine-tuning. Well, I still think that is just giving you more insight into the existing models and not even ChatGPT-4. So these are the hyperparameters that you're allowed to change, but not the weights in the model. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and that deserves a second reading, but it is still limited compared to red architecture, which is not perfect. So you're torn between the two. The fact that it's not perfect, but we know good is the enemy of the best. So if it's good enough, maybe it's good enough. But nobody allows you to get the weights of that model and fine-tune it more. I think we're still at the same place, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. That announcement came out only 2 days ago, so maybe not common knowledge. Okay, all right, but we're there, and we assume that it's interesting. Deserves a second read, but it's not GPT-5, and it is not well, it is an awesome breakthrough, but for us, practically, it's not magic yet. All right. So if nobody argues, then we'll continue. Then the next thing I wanted to talk about is running Llama locally. That really I'm very proud about, and therefore I'll show you that. Okay, so what did we do? Well, we install Llama locally. How do we do it? Boy, I'm not sure. You go to Llama and find out how you do it and follow the instructions. So let's say Llama on GitHub. Right here, right? And here is the instruction, and you will have personally, you will have to go through the approval, but the approval is very mild, and you will get approved within 1 minute, and then you will follow either that, let's look, either that instruction, oh, that's just a paper, download. That's what you will do. You will download the model, you'll clone that particular repository, and then there will be a place for the download script. So you'll run the download script and get all the weights, and it will ask you, which model do you want? And there will be a choice of about 5 models. And I chose all 5, and I got 5 models in half an hour. You can start modestly with the 7 billion parameter model, the smallest one, and that is also good enough. That's what you do. But in the end, I want to show you that I did it. So let's go do this. I have, where's my terminal, right? I need to move that window, move it here. And I have a little alias that takes me to this virtual machine. So the alias is just SSH into that virtual machine, but now I'm on that virtual machine. That one is Ubuntu, as it says here. It is running on Amazon government cloud because that was my goal. And over there, we have one machine with RDP. That's not what I'm interested in, and one machine with Llama. So eventually, we will put a fast API on this Llama machine, and it will be serving the other machine. We're still within the cloud, within the government cloud, all local, no questions about going out anywhere to the world. I outlined the way in the future to use this other models, but deploy them locally. That needs to be investigated. Right now, I downloaded the model and it went into Llama CPP. Why CPP? That's because even though I had machines that had GPU, somehow it wasn't recognizing this GPU. So we decided to just find the CPU model and try to run it as a proof of concept. We did it. We did it, and here's the script. So that script, shows you how we're using it. So we're taking the Llama model, and we are saying 7 billion, so the smallest model. I mentioned that a bigger model will take even longer. Then we give it some of the parameters that are required. Okay. Then we formulate, and I'm sure that comes from the instruction, or formulate the question. It has to be specific. So the prompt says, you are a researcher, you're extracting agency date, charges, arrest information, and we want you to output answer in JSON. That if you played with text ChatGPT, that sounds similar. That's how you usually talk to the model. After that, we run the model here. How we run it is ./main. I wonder if that is really the program name. So let's check. Main. Yes, there is a main. And what is it? Probably an executable. Yeah, it looks like an executable, big enough. So I believe that script because my friends helped me to do it, and I didn't really do it completely. Okay, so you run this model main, and that talks to this model which you define, context name, temperature, and we set it probably to 0 to get consistent result. Here's a, and then don't repeat, but it's only a penalty, so it might repeat stuff. After that, after you have seen the script, I'm going to start it. So I'm saying script, you're ready to start. Well, it works in the sense that I have the cleaned form, so that form shouldn't have any information, and all names should become John Doe. And that is the form that I'm giving it as a proof of content, and it is now running. I can hit enter, nothing happens, it is running. I can go and just look at how it is working hard. For that, I'm going to the same machine, the same machine, but this time I'm doing the top just to see how hard it is working. All it's doing one inference. It's finding an answer to one question. That is what takes ChatGPT a second or two. Here it's working at 100%. There are probably 4 CPUs, and it's running them at full load, unless there are 8 CPUs, and it will take it a few minutes. So we'll talk about other things, but meanwhile, let it work. It will come back with a question, with an answer, and the answer will be as we wanted. It will be in JSON. It will parse correctly the information. And another way to do it would be the regular old way, regex. And I still have to do the regex work because we want to compare what does it do, but we know what to expect. We only don't know the numbers. I expect that to be 95% accuracy, and I expect the regex to be 70 or 80% accuracy, and that will make quite a big difference. So there are humans who know what should be there. They will spot, check it, and that will be complete by the beginning of next week. By Friday next week. So I'm showing something real, but there is a lot to improve. So right now, my task is to make a complete pipeline. I'll get forms, and I want 2 answers. One answer will come from Llama, the other answer will come from regex. But later on, I will have to improve the architecture so that it is able to run 10,000 forms a year. And that I will also share with you. It's no secret. The only secret is the forms themselves. And the forms I'm not showing you. And in fact, will not show it to anyone unless they have the same wonderful fingerprinting that I've done. So I should approve and then I'll get more forms. This is where we are, and that thing comes up all the time. Some notifications, which I probably should turn off. You remember that's new computer, and this computer is not working completely perfectly. But I'm allowing to talk to anybody and everyone who just came. Here you are. So that we have a lively conversation and everybody now can talk. All right, that's great. So meanwhile, as we were talking, the answer comes back and it says agency, Nevada, Nevada. Okay, that is not a secret. Everybody knows there is such a thing as Nevada. So I cleaned the personal information, but I kept that. And the fact that he is a fugitive from justice felony, that's also allowed to be shown. Okay, and now it gives out the information. Now, why does it go quite slow here? It's another question, but that doesn't concern me. I can wait a few seconds, remaining seconds. So you see it's working. And it probably, and by the way, somewhere I saw that we understand this as an OCR document and we're not responsible for misspellings, okay? Oh, they said the provided text is OCR done not image. They're correct. I didn't tell it to them. And can have typos, yes. Please try your best to guess the words that I misspelled. But you see it's working. Okay? Well, that's a real case of not so standard task. And then it keeps talking, blabbering. It's just because the models like to talk. Well, first of all, it excuses itself with saying nobody likes a know-it-all, but then it keeps saying things. All right, and that is it. No, it's still working hard. So it is programmed to start giving out the answer while it's still doing the inference. Well, very interesting. Okay, with that, I expect progress. In fact, I promised this progress by Wednesday. There should be a complete pipeline from the beginning OCR to the end in this shape. All right, that is what I wanted to show you. And the next step is go back to where we were, right here. And maybe disappointed with this. I said I will show Llama running locally, and I will also show you red teaming exercise running locally. I already showed you running here. And it is interesting how you would hack a model. They give you great ways to hack a model. They probably won't work for you today because such things are kind of 0 day. Once you publish it, they probably close it. But still, you want to run it, and maybe it's just interesting to run it against the llama, something of that kind. But I just, I'm sorry, didn't have the time to really do. So that will have to remain for later. But at least I told you everything I could tell you. I'm putting myself on mute, stopping the share, and inviting you to say something or ask something. Okay, no questions. So I was very bad and didn't really tell you anything, or I was very good and told you precisely what happens. So
Question, what
yes,
would be the changes for your local GPU? You said you were running it on a CPU.
well, the changes will be this. Use the real instruction right here and find out what I did wrong, because it just, when you run it exactly this way, it doesn't recognize my GPU. It says I need a certain class that only works on GPU and no GPU found. That's the error that I get. So come back to it, start the machine with GPU, and very carefully follow the instruction and debug, and it will work. So how about this? Let's try it. Let's put it here. So what we want to do is, well, we didn't do that. Well, okay, let's copy the whole thing. And that will be our next week. So it's 19. And it will be only that. Here we say on GPU. And if I run it on GPU, I will show you how you do it. That still stays. The rest, whatever new things will come up, we'll discuss that. So theory is only this, but practice is that. Was that your question?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I think we're good, right? In the sense we have the next week and we will clean up what we didn't clean up. So let us enjoy the remainder of the day and let us all meet next week. Okay? And I wish you a very good week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Be well. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Atano. John. All right. All the best. Goodbye. Thank you, David. All right. Yes, there will be a replay and there will be a recording. If you didn't make it, you can still, if you want, listen to that later again.